Good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday night. It is cheese night. Let's get this show on the road. We are going to South America. This is unbelievably exciting. I obviously think that cheese from any part of the world is awesome, but we are just more familiar with the Europeans, the Brits, the Munsters, the Leicesters, all the stuff that crosses our cheesemongers' doors on a regular basis. We very rarely think that the New World, the South Americas, the North Americas, the Central Americas are big producers. I mean, we know we're seeing things coming out of North Africa right now and the Middle East. And I've even at the World Cheese Awards had yak cheese from Nepal. It tasted awful, if I'm going to be honest, but we've got to give people a run at it. South America is extremely well known now for its New World wines, particularly that Chilean, that Argentinian sort of center of excellence. That combination of sort of European air and clean ground has given opportunities to produce some awesome wines. And we have tonight, unbelievably lucky, we've got Hector Vergara, who is the only master sommelier of South America. He's sitting right now in Santiago in Chile. So let's invite him in. Where are you, Hector? Hello, Hector. Good evening,
Hello,
South
Charlie.
America.
Good evening, friends. Very, very happy to be participating, talking about not only my job, my passion, wines.
We're extremely lucky to have you. Oh, my wife's sneaking in.
Hola, buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
I'm going to also add in Camille here. Camille Francois. My wife has spent many years in Peru and Bolivia, and she just can't resist coming to find out what's going on. She lamented that South America was not the capital for cheese.
Muchos saludos a los queseros de América del Sur. Ciao.
Well, I don't know what she just said, but I'm hoping it was complimentary and we've just not broken South American-European relations by accident.
No, don't worry. We have a lot of relationship, and in the cheese world also. We have a lot of influence that we are really pleased to have here in Chile when you're expatriated in one of these countries.
Okay, so Camille, I brought you in. So you are our South American cheese expert, but you're not South American by birth. Where are you from?
No, I'm French actually, and I worked in Savencia, which also has a really nice, I don't know how you say in English. Filial in Chile, and here we are lucky to have a lot of different cheeses from different countries that we offer to the Chilean people, and we teach them how to eat them, how to combine them with wines, how to cook them. It's really passion job for me here.
So let's we'll learn about how you got there, in a second. We want to talk about the wine. We want to talk about the cheese. Now, as I understand it, South America has no ancient history of cheese and wine. So these are two things that have been brought by the colonization, the Spanish, the Portuguese influence coming into that part of the world. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. But
right.
Wine has history of cheese. Well, I'm going. So cheese.
One at a time. Hector, go ahead.
Yeah. No. As far as Chile, the first harvest was done in Chile in 1551. We are the eldest, the oldest country in the Americas to produce wines, and the grape variety that arrived is called it's a bush vine that still we have it, and so we have been producing wine a long time, and in 1850s some mining people, wealthy people from Chile that traveled to Europe, and mainly as far as wines they looked in France, and they brought cuttings of different grape varieties, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and we have as well, the first one we'll taste, it will be a Carmenère, that is a grape that disappeared from Bordeaux because it wasn't replanted after the vine laws phylloxera arrived in Europe. So we have a long history of wines, but the country is renewing every single day. I can't catch up with new producers. People that sometimes sold the grapes, now they're starting to vinify their wines. So we have a great amount of small producers, apart from the big wineries that do an outstanding job as well. So we have a great variety of wines from different places. Imagine that Chile, from north to south, as far as the wine valleys, we are 1,000, close to 1,600 kilometers. 1,600 kilometers from north to
now
south.
You've sent me some. Right, now you've sent me some. Oh, wrong direction. There we go. Right. I hope everybody can see this. It's quite small, but this is the wine regions of Chilean and Argentina. Am I right, Hector?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And even I think the map that we sent, it hasn't been updated yet because we are much further south. We have plantings. We have plantings, around 1,200 kilometers south now. Since the warming of the planet, we still can go further down the south.
So what you're basically saying is, since global warming, Chile is not quite so chilly.
Yeah. Well. We are happy that we have the Humboldt Current that runs along the Pacific, Chilean coast, Peruvian coast as well. So we benefit from the very cool sea breezes. Today we are going to taste a couple of wines that come from coastal vineyards. So we are very happy. We have the big, huge Andes Mountains that I live very close to the Andes Mountains. On the other side is Mendoza, Argentina. And we benefit as well in the nights from cool nights. And our climate is always, in summer is warm, but always dry. So the nights are not suffocating hot. They are always fresh. That's why I think we can provide a great variety of wines of different grape varieties.
So let me sum up what you've said. So we've got 500 years of South American wine production. Since 1850 or so, you actually have grapes that weren't taken out by phylloxera as the whole of Bordeaux and France and all that was done. So you could reasonably argue that your grape varieties, your vines, are older than many European estates. In fact, most European estates.
That's right.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So
yes.
So all claims to great provenance in Europe are just, fake news. Chile is where it's at.
Yeah. Many people are amazed when visit the vineyards and they see trunks of vines 150, 200 years old, and they are conducted what we call in English a bush vine without any supporting.
So they're not on those wires that go down the vineyard.
So we have yeah.
Okay, I know that. So we now know that the wines of South America are old, legendary, deep-rooted, perfectly suited. I don't think that's true with cheese, Camille, is it? We're much more recent with cheese.
No, with cheese, it's not that advanced. Anyway, cheese got to South America also with the colonization, but for a long time now, it has been only a really simple cheese with no maturation, with a really little microorganism impact. So, but it's been developing quite strong. In Chile, we have a consumption of 12 kilos per year per inhabitant. It's half of French consumption. It's not that bad.
It's more than us. We're 10 kilos.
Oh, in France, it's more like 26 kilos, right?
Yeah,
So
but the French, you eat cheese for breakfast. You're getting a head start. You know, we like our fat at breakfast to be in bacon and sausages, whereas you're in there early. You're filling your croissants with cheese. It's not fair. You've got a head start.
yeah, French was quite crazy about cheese. I can tell, I can testify.
Yeah.
But also, we have to know that in Argentina, the colonization has been really strong with the Italian people, which is a really strong cheese culture, and also Swiss. So in Argentina, they have a more culture of ripened cheese than in Chile, where it was mostly Spanish colonization. But it's a really strong development right now, and people are eating every day more ripened cheese. And actually, one thing that surprises me is that in Chile, one of the famous ripened cheese is the blue cheese. So you know that it's one of the strongest ones. So you can see that palate adapt really quickly. And I'm
Well,
here for that as a school
talking of
of cheese.
strong cheeses, you have got one that's been sitting under my nose. I almost don't want to touch it. It's so stinky. So this is one we're going to taste tonight. This is the Solana.
Yeah, it is.
See that, people out there? Oh,
Solana, yeah.
rats. There goes the cheese. Okay. I'm going to touch that. This turned up, when it turned up, because I've had this about 10 days. Thank you guys very much for sending me cheese from South America. I'm not really sure if that's legal under importing Asian Act, but this was white. It was purely white, and it's colored up, and we can see the bacteria mold, that orange distinctive thing, bringing on the color on the outside. Now, you were saying to me, Camille, that this is we're not going to taste this one yet. We're probably going to taste this last, but this is like a Taleggio Munster kind of experience.
Yeah. Anyway, in Latin America, most of the mature cheese comes first from European yield, and but let's say that every day more they put their own signature on their cheeses, and they use local ingredients like wine, for example, or species like chili to perfume their cheese and to change them in something really unique.
Yes, there was one you wanted to sell me that was going to be wine soaked, and I'm thinking similar to the Spanish cheese Mozzarella vino, when they're soaking the whole cheese, get that distinctive red coating, but it's not washed rind. We're not encouraging bacteria. We are simply giving it that perfume of the grape, perfume of the skin of the wine.
Yeah, it's like an infusion. It really feels like you are eating something that comes right out from an old barrel. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so let's quickly introduce you. So Hector, you're the only master sommelier in Latin America, founder of the Sommelier Guild of Canada, sommelier of the Crillon in Paris, president of the Sommelier Association of Latin America. You've been all the way around the world. You trained in London. You learned your trade in hotels in Paris before circling back eventually to South America. Is that your career in a nutshell?
That's right. That's right.
So
That's
did you always want to bring?
Yeah.
Did you want to bring wine back to South America?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, the wine from South America, it has deep roots, and the wine, the choice of wines that I think they are very representative of the production of red wines. This afternoon, tonight, we only have one white, but white wine is gaining ground as well. Sauvignon Blanc, apart from Chardonnay, Riesling from the south, Viognier, we have Alvarinhos as well planted. So we have a great variety of different styles of wines. And in Chile now, the consumption of wines is not that high. In the 60s, we drank almost 60 liters per year. It seems that quite a few guys because obviously we count babies and everything. But I think a lot of people were thinking the average, it was 60 liters per person. Nowadays, we are in around 15 liters per person. 15.
Oh, you're slacking.
So
maybe you're substituting quality for quantity.
Yeah, we are little. Yeah, that's right. Nowadays the quality is outstanding. There is the wine knowledge. All the winemakers travel to vinify wines in worldwide, different countries. So there is the knowledge. Wineries have invested in knowledge and equipment, and the best of all is the climate. Today we are going to taste.
Hector, I've got to interrupt you. You need to drink some wine. You need to show us the bottles. Let's get excited with you. We're going to show us what you're drinking. What's on the table in front of you?
Here I have wine that is called Rumanent. The grape is called Carmenère. The vintage is 2018, and it comes from Colchagua Valley, roughly situated about 160 kilometers southwest of Santiago. And the 2018 vintage is a great vintage because springtime was perfect. Summer, it wasn't too warm. We had no rains, and the grapes reached perfect maturity. Alcohol levels were normal, and the sanity, it was great. We have very good acidity and freshness. And here we have 2018 Carmenère. Carmenère, that is a grape variety that is a very late ripening grape. Normally, in Chile, is a few weeks after Cabernet Sauvignon, and even after the Petit Verdot. And it produces a wine, by the way, is the second most consumed grape in Chile, wine in Chile, and probably it will take over Cabernet Sauvignon in a few years, because
but you were saying that the
prefer a wine that is very soft, very velvety, fruity, and then this is 18. It has a very I'll do a very description. It has a ruby, medium intensity color on the nose. And the nose is very much like red mature red fruits. I'm talking about cherries. I'm talking about strawberries, raspberries. It has been aged in oak, part of the wine only. We don't want to.
Can I interrupt you a second?
The wines.
So this is a wine that does not exist. This is a grape that does not exist in Europe any longer. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. It disappeared 1860s, 1870s, when the vine laws phylloxera arrived, and
they didn't replant because
we had it until 19. No, it was planted here, but it was planted in the vine rows together with Cabernet Sauvignon and with Merlot and so on. Until 1994, it was rediscovered in Chile.
Fantastic.
And it produced outstanding quality wine. And today,
so Camille, what cheese have you got? What cheese are you going to bring us to?
Yeah, I have a very special cheese here that is also really, really emblematic of Chile. You can see here, it's a goat cheese that has incorporation of merquén. What is merquén? Merquén is the ancient Mapuche. Mapuche were the indigenous people that lived in Chile before when the Spanish arrived. And they produced this chile with a pepper that is called goat horn. They dry it, they smoke it, and then they crush it with coriander seeds and salt. And this is what they call merquén. And it's really nice because it gives the cheese a really, you can see here the really red bit. It gives the cheese a subtle, a smoky taste, also like a pepper taste a little bit.
Yeah.
And pimentón. Hector, do you know how you say it in English?
Pimentón, paprika.
Yeah, paprika.
Yeah.
And I think it really matches the wine because we can feel in the nose this paprika also notes that are not default in the Cabernet. It gives it a really fresh aroma, really nice, goes with the fruity taste. So it matches.
So can I just interrogate this merquén? So merquén is not one thing; it's a combination of the spice and the herb and the salt. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a preparation. It would be like curry, you know. It's a mix of paprika, dried smoked paprika with coriander seeds and salt. It's really typical from Chile. If you go to the airport, there is a lot of merquén little pots you can get a souvenir, and it's quite interesting. It has a really light spiky taste. And also the goat cheese in Chile is really really typical from the northern regions. So here you have the association of a really Chilean grape with a really Chilean cheese and spice. So here you have the perfect combination to go and travel to Chile.
So this merquén, I'm fascinated by this merquén.
The wine. Yeah.
Oh, I've lost it. Where's it gone?
The wine has a touch of spiciness always. Carmener, it has a black pepper from the pepper mill, freshly ground. It's very peppery, spicy, and the tannins are very soft, silky tannins in the wine. And with the when I tasted the cheese, I found that it was a great harmony between the full flavor, the rich flavor of the spicy flavor of the cheese, matching the fruit-driven wine with a slight pepperish, black pepper notes. And I think it's a wine that matches perfectly well. Yeah.
I mentioned this because we talk in the Academy of Cheese about how you predict good food and drink matching, which is incredibly hard, and really you can only do it by tasting both and making them work. But the orthodoxy that we present in our courses is that in the simple flavors, you're looking to balance them off. So the sweet, salt, savory, acid, bitter, you're looking for balance. But in the complex flavors, you're looking for echoes. So what you're talking about there, Hector, is the slight spiciness in the wine is being echoed in the slight spiciness of the cheese. And that creates a taste bridge that brings them together.
That's right. Yeah.
And also I would say that this cheese is not too strong. It's quite light. The goat cheese is really fresh. Herbaceous is not that strong goat, so you need a wine that wouldn't cover it all. So the Cabernet is perfect for that because it's really fruity, but it doesn't have too much tannins. It's not too invasive.
I don't want to ruin the mood, but my wife
because
and she's brought some Peruvian Pisco.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
It ain't wine. Yeah. It ain't wine. But I felt that I at least ought to have something South America to drink on my table. But she says that Peru and Chile have quite a strong rivalry. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So
yeah,
but that's really interesting. Okay. What cheese and wine pairing have you got up next?
Yeah, next we have this Solana cheese that you got impressed with because of its strong smell.
Let's do it last. It feels strong. Can we do? Let's go to one of the others first.
So we could go to the Regenito, which is not strong. Regenito goes with
Yeah.
With the Pinot Noir, Hector.
Okay, so the Regenito is you describe it as being a cousin to the Grana Padano. Obviously, that makes it a cousin to Parmesan or Parmigiano Reggiano as well. And we can see clearly that it's of the same shape, but it's not got the same curd.
Yeah, it doesn't have it. This Regenito has a 6 months maturation. It comes from Argentina. This is one of the legacy from Italian immigrants, and yeah, it's still a little bit young, only 6 months. So I also got to taste Regenito with way more months. That was a special edition for last year anniversary of the brand Santa Rosa, and it gets the same texture with the time.
Okay.
But it's a really good quality because in front of that we only have some poor imitation of Parmesan in Chile, and Regenito offers you a really good way to perfume your pastas and your sauces, and it's quite interesting to have it here. So this is.
It's interesting you say the word perfume, but I'm definitely getting a perfume out of it. I mean, I don't know why, but the word lavender is almost coming to mind. Very, very low level, but an essential oil element to it. It's sweeter. It does not have the savoriness of mature Parmesan or Grana Padano, and it really doesn't have the texture. But considering you can't call Parmesan or Grana Padano at this age, it really is. It's not trying to be the same thing. I think so.
No, and here you have very sweet taste. It's really buttery. You have walnuts, you have some nuts also, but you don't have this like really astringent taste that you can find in the Parmigiano, for example. It's not too animal. So for the South American palate, it's really appropriate because it's easier to eat also. So here we have let's hear Hector talk about the wine we chose to accompany this cheese.
So we've got the William Cole.
Right. Yeah, William Cole, Pinot Noir. William Cole is an American guy that invested in vineyards in Chile. And this comes from Casablanca Valley, which benefits from the cool sea breezes from the coast, from the Ocean Pacific. 100% Pinot Noir from the vintage 2018. And the Pinot Noir, as we know, is a very difficult grape variety to grow, to vinify, but it can make incredible, outstanding wines. And this is very like a basket of fruits from the forest, very much so, because it's very much going into raspberry, even the color of Pinot Noir, since the anthocyans, the agents that give the color, they produce a beautiful color, ruby.
Hold that there,
red.
Camille.
On the nose, it has the sorry?
The wine is quite transparent. It looks like a light wine.
That looks delicious. I know this is a bit shallow of me, but I love the idea of something coming from a place called Casablanca. So
yeah, and it has the forest floor or the forest undergrowth. When you walk under the forest and you have mushrooms like that, it's a very seductive wine because tannins are low. It has very good acidity and freshness. It has been aged partly, very little, with oak. So the other part was fermented in stainless steel vats to give the fruitiness of the wine, to give the soul of the wine. And when I tasted with the cheese, I found, because it has certain cremosity as well, the wine. Apart from being forest floor, red berries, it has a cremosity to it. The tannins are so delicate. You know, Pinot Noir sometimes, most of the time, is a feminine wine. You know, it's not a big guy. It's very delicate.
Are we allowed
It's
to say that? Just asking.
A prima donna bailarina.
So this brings me a question. The way Hector is describing this wine, Camille, reminds me more of like a Brie de Meaux than perhaps a Regenito, as you describe it, with those forest floor elements, the mushrooms, the earth, the things that you would get from Brie de Meaux. Do you have in South America those kind of white mold cheeses?
Yes, we do. I didn't choose them because it was not really easy to transport them to France in plane and then to London. I think it would have not been really good right now. But yes, we do. And actually, in Brazil, there is a really big production. But you have to know that in Latin America, for now, the taste is quite smooth. So people want a really white and uniform mold. They want inside quite homogeneous. So it's in the end, it's a cheese that is really really buttery. It has this fungus and humid taste. But it's not too developed in the garlic and onion flavor that you can find in some camembert in France. And actually it's quite nice to eat that. And people here are really how you say that, used to it. Camembert and Brie are the first one of the first special cheese that were introduced in Latin America, in Chile and Brazil. And we also sell some French Camembert, but it's still quite a little volume. So here, but yeah, I think you match the points. It's a wine that would go very well with the white mold cheese also. Here, I find it's really nice also with the Regenito because of its acidity. It washes the mouth from the fat veil that you can find in Regenito, and it really matches also the sweet from the cheese with the raspberry, with the acidity. It's really balanced.
I see that you've got we're gonna taste
the growth were much lower than the fruitiness. Yeah.
Can we taste next the Viñedo?
No,
Go ahead, Hector.
The Viñedo, yeah.
So the Viñedo with the Bodega Zuccardi,
which is
Viñedo is the
Zuccardi. That's right. Yeah.
Wine stock.
So I mean, in the UK, our knowledge of specific knowledge of grapes that have really changed and done a brilliant job is the way that you've particularly the Mendoza area Malbecs have. I mean, we know the Malbecs of Cahors and that area, which are the very black wines, very big wines, and the South American take on the Malbec wine is much smoother, and it's become incredibly popular over here in the way that it's being treated as a big meat wine. And I would say it's one of the sort of standout areas of where South America treatment or South American adoption of a European staple has created something fantastically new.
Yeah. And this one, it comes from Mendoza, but it's about 90 kilometers southwest at the foot of the Andes Mountains. It's called the Valle de Uco, which benefits as well from the cool breezes from the mountains. And the altitude, well over 1,000 meters. So you have freshness. And then because in the other part of Mendoza, the oldest part of Mendoza is much warmer. So being in a high altitude situated vineyard with the Zuccardi family, it is trying to produce this wine should represent what Uco Valley produced nowadays in 2020, because it has a color that I describe as lavender. You know, it's an inky color, beautiful, which is telling us that it's very, very young. It's from the same vintage 2018, and on the nose, it has, apart from the fresh fruit from the Andes, the mineral, because the soils provide certain amounts. You know, there is a huge discussion, very interesting discussion about minerality. Minerality, for me, sometimes is a wine that is a little bit ethereal, a wine that is always fresh. It has body, it has tannins, it has a strength, but it's always elegant. It's like
that's what they say about me, by the way. Just going to say,
in a velvet glove,
but always elegant.
And you also have the lavender eyes.
Hey, lavender. Let's talk about the cheese then, Camille. What are you bringing in with the it's a wine washed goat's cheese, isn't it?
Exactly. Just one comment. It really strikes me when I smelled this wine. It has a really strong black currant or black fruit taste. It's really striking. It's really interesting because it almost feels like you're not smelling a wine, and the mineralities, the two smells, aroma that struck me. And then here we have a goat cheese, which is a hard cooked goat cheese, and it has 6 months maturation, so it's quite intense. It's quite spicy as well as when you taste it. Has a really strong aroma of goat, like you could be in the stable with the goat, you know.
Not to everybody's taste, yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't have too much acidity because of the long maturation, and you can find also this. It's subtle, but you feel like you're inside a barrel, an old barrel of wine. You can find this wine soaking bath. You can feel it all inside the cheese. It's really infused with the wine.
So it's really got into the wine there.
Yeah, well, you don't see the color is only on the outside, but inside the cheese, you really feel like it's been infused.
Yeah.
And here, they do it with the uva país, which is the traditional old Chilean grape. So it's also quite between Chilean terroir in wine and terroir in goat cheese. I think
Camille, can you hold it up to the camera? Hold the cheese up to the camera and.
Okay.
Because
if you can see, I feel like the cheese and the wine, they also have the same color.
They do a bit. Let's have a look at that. Let's have a look at the cheese. So we've got a slightly open. We've got some openings going on there. So the curd is slow down. So we've got bubbles developing inside the cheese. What is that? A sort of 10 kilo cheese, 14 kilo cheese, maybe whole?
I think this is like 5 kilo, but I can find the information. I'm not sure anymore. And it comes from also a little artisan. This is the brand is Fermento, like ferment in Spanish, and it's a small cooperative aggregation that started in 2013, and so it follows the European economic model of cooperation, and they do the ripeness process for the small artisans that give their cheese to them, and they also train them to improve their.
So they're like they're an affineur in European terms, and they're working with a cooperative of cheesemakers to bring the cheeses onto a broader market and bring them to a particular flavor. So with the risk of making a schoolboy error, a ferment is a rennet or a starter in Spanish.
Sorry?
In French, a ferment is the starter, I believe. Is that right?
It's not the rennet. Yeah, it's the starter. It's the microorganism. Yeah.
So fermento is the Spanish for ferment, the equivalent.
Yeah. Fermento.
That's a much more beautiful name than the British name of starter. Starter's, okay, it's accurate, goes at the beginning, but ferment, got a certain romantic journey to it.
Yeah, it's a little bit more about the process itself of the fermentation. You can find in cheese, in wine, and many products. That was the origin of this cooperative, actually, and then it specialized in cheese.
Okay.
So good choice of wine, because we needed something really strong to pair with this goat cheese from Fermento.
Need something punchy. Need something punchy. So looking at
I found the cheese. At the back of the palate, when I felt the last taste of the cheese, I found a big guy that was telling me, here I am. Because I felt, at the back of the palate, we feel sweetness, saltiness, acidity from the side. But at the back, the last kick that gave me, I felt, oh. And when I taste different wines, I thought the Zuccardi Malbec, a wine from high altitude, will match up to it. And to me, it did. Because it's a wine that, it's still baby, but it's showing this quality. And I like very much, I insist, because it's a very rocky place. And still science cannot tell us how the roots will pick up the minerality, but it's to me it's ethereal, that can fly almost. It's a beautiful wine.
It's interesting what you were saying there about you needed a wine that matches, because drinks and food matching is a bit like boxing. You need a flyweight with a flyweight, you need a welterweight with a welterweight, you need a heavyweight with a heavyweight. Otherwise, you make it extremely likely that one or other will just roll over. But every now and again, you do get the David Goliath moment when the little one, whether it's a wine or a food, somehow just neutralizes a really strong, powerful cheese. I remember tasting a rather boring lager with an extremely powerful, with a extremely powerful Gruyere, but the lager managed to crush the Gruyere. And it was very surprising, very difficult to predict food matching. So what have you got for us next, Camille and Hector?
It's difficult.
I think we should go with mozzarella.
Charlie, what you mentioned, Charlie? What you mentioned, I mentioned to me. I said, if I have a dish to eat, I don't want a dish in my glass.
No.
What I mean is sometimes you can put a flavored wine with a full flavored dish, but sometimes you can do the opposite. So that's why we mentioned. I said I have a dish with meat, with flavor, we cooked with bones hours and hours, but I don't want sometimes in my glass another dish, saying that perhaps I will look for another wine that will be the opposite. But it's very interesting, this thing. As you say,
it is very interesting. I do agree. There's a discussion about this, that one of the reasons why New World wines, particularly Californian wines or some of the American wines, are so successful in competition is because they do the whole dish thing. They do the whole dish in the glass. Whereas if you look at traditional French, Italian, Spanish cuisine, the dish is half the dish and the wine is the other half of the dish. And the two make sense together. And that on their own, they're like a husband without a wife. Yes, very nice, we enjoy, but more fun together, you know.
Yeah.
And that kind of tradition of building wine as a flavor profile into a cuisine rather than standalone has been lost and makes less sense, because when a person goes into the supermarket and chooses a bottle of wine, they want that to be a complete experience in itself. So that journey has been lost, which I feel sad, because when you get the complete experience of wine and cuisine together, it's huge and awesome.
It's an explosion of sense. And also about that, I can get you back the information, but one day I tasted a pairing between an Emmental, which is quite a soft steel cheese, with honey. And I was really amazed how the honey managed to get the Emmental flavor way, way more intense in the mouth and create an all new flavor, the two together. It can be really interesting also, cheese and honey.
I'm guessing that Emmental was probably an older Emmental with that dry, no?
No, no, it was quite a young Emmental, and really, this is why I was so surprised, because I thought that this Emmental was quite common, you know, it's quite the Emmental you would grate on your plate, but with the honey, it was another thing, totally another thing. So I didn't really understand what happened there, but it was really interesting.
Yeah, all these people that come up to you and go, oh, this always matches with that. I'm going, nah, that never happens. The surprises also are the best bit. So what have you got next? Tell us what you got next.
I have to see if my assistant, my nice assistant, prepared already the Provoleta or not, because this is the Argentinian cheese that is commonly prepared in the barbecue. So I don't know if it's ready. We could go
I'm not prepared to barbecue. I do not have. This is not a James Martin moment, I'm afraid. Or
no, don't worry. You can still taste it together. I just wanted to show you on the plate how it looks like. But we can go with the mozzarella. The time that we I prepare it.
Now I've got to be honest. I don't think my mozzarella has. I don't think it's traveled well.
Well, yeah, it's a really fresh cheese. Maybe you shouldn't risk it.
Yeah.
But what is really...
I'm going to show it to the people, because I think it's a good example of how, all respect, this is what happens when mozzarella gets a bit too old. You get this kind, I don't know if you can see it, you get a real breakdown of the curd. So this is a tip for people who are watching. Squeezing a mozzarella in is a really good indication of quality. You should be able to feel the firmness of the mozzarella, and it should almost have the texture of, the firmness, almost like a ripe peach, that kind of thing. If it begins to feel a little bit squidgy, and the outside is beginning to decay, it's all over. The flavor's moved on, the texture's beginning to decline. But for a cheese that's come all the way from South America, I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, well, you should. What is interesting about this mozzarella is that it comes from Colombia, and Colombia is really famous for its bufala breeds. They make mozzarella, but they also make yogurt. They also make a lot of things. When you say Colombia, you think about the exotic country, but when you go down to Bogota, to the capital, which is at more than 3,000 meters high above the sea, you have a really more mountain climate. So it's really fresh, it's really humid, and it's perfect for the bufala breed.
Really?
And, yeah, it is.
Because I've not been to Colombia. I've been to Venezuela, though. And in Venezuela, we met buffalo. A guy was using them in the I don't call them swamps, but very wet areas, very low-lying areas. And they were using the buffalo because they're very, very robust in water. And they were using them. We ended up having buffalo races. It was bizarre. So to steer the buffalo, they put a ring through its nose. They put a rope on the buffalo, and you galloped along. Not the most comfortable ride. And what you do is, if you want to turn left, you flip the rope round and you pull its nose round that way. And if you wanted to go the other way, you flip the rope round there and pull the nose round the other way. So recommendation, Academy of Cheese lovers out there, buffalo racing in Venezuela, but it's obviously a thing.
Yeah, it is. Actually, it's a special breed of buffalo. They are water buffalo, and it's interesting because they have to go very high to graze. So when they milk the buffaloes, the milk has to go down to the fabric on the mule back. So it takes hours just to take down the milk and then start the production. It's really interesting. We have been there and we have been walking around, and we went to the fields by mule back also. So this mozzarella, actually, it's quite the same as mozzarella from Italia. It gets the same creamy texture, the same taste. But here, the interesting thing is more the origin. And here, Hector chose for us a really good wine, and he's gonna explain to you why he chose this.
Right.
Really just enjoying himself.
With the description that you make mozzarella, because it has a lactic aromas. It's very creamy. I felt that I needed if I pick a wine, I chose a wine that it has been aged in wood only 30%, but it wasn't wood. We toasted charred barrels, white barrels, only 30%. This wine, Amaral, comes from Leida Valley, about 10 to 12 kilometers from the sea. I mean, if you want to take breakfast in the terrace at 9 in the morning, forget you will need 3 overcoats because it's cool.
Just interrupting, just
at night.
The Provoleta before it gets cold, just to see how it gets.
And here you have.
Sorry, I just interrupt.
And wine has that 30% of wood. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you see, it's crusty
That's
outside.
30% of wood without. Yeah.
It's an interesting one, this one, because the mozzarella has that lactic thing that you're talking about, Hector. It does, but it is not as lactic as it's not got that whey characteristic of the mozzarellas that of the UK. It actually has hints of almost that burrata creaminess. So I can't speak for the wines that the wine you're talking about, the white wine, which apart from the complete, I got FOMO to the max here, the fear of missing out. It's actually COMO, it's knowledge of missing out. I can see those wines going down where you are, and I wish I was tasting them. And the idea of looking down on the sea and having 3 overcoats and all that, it's like, I feel we should travel there. I think next time the Academy of Cheese is coming on a road trip to Santiago. That's the thing.
That would be fantastic.
Look at the
right. We have one more.
Charlie. You can see.
Yeah, that's the waves, man.
The wave.
Yeah.
That's the wave. That's the wave because throughout Chile we have a lot of surfing.
I know all the way up that coast.
10 meters, 15, whatever. And very cold.
I feel we're telling traveler war stories, but I've surfed off the coast of Lima. Right, come on, let's get the big cheese out. It's time for the last one we've got time for tonight.
In summer.
I wanted to show you the Provoleta first. It's quite an interesting cheese. It comes from the Italian tradition of melted provolone, and in Uruguay, in Argentina, and in Chile now, it's really famous to make with the barbecue. To put the Provoleta on a really hot fire, and it gets you this result. I'm going to show you.
So provolone is like the South American equivalent of halloumi in real terms. You're using it as the go-to barbecue cheese. Hang on. Let me go large. Okay.
It's really crusty outside. I don't know if you see well.
Okay, yeah.
Crusty, and inside it's really more melted. Now it's a little bit more cold, so you can't see it that well, but it's the way they heat it.
Okay, well, I will cook this. I might even cook it tonight.
Yeah, you should, and it really gives it fills the atmosphere with a really strong aroma of animal taste. It also has a caramel and smoky taste. It's really an interesting cheese. It's really strong, and it goes really well with the red meat that Argentinians are really used to eat. This
Really? The Argentinians like red meat? I had no idea.
It's really, it matches the intensity of the meat, so this is why they do it.
Right, come on, Camille. We've had enough now. It's time to go for the Solana. This is the one. I think this is the big gun that's coming to South Africa. One of the questions today: where can we buy these cheeses anywhere in the UK? I'm guessing that this Solana is just not available. It's going
to be complicated because I don't think they could have the quantity to export, and they are still really artisanal. So
okay. So what I think you should do, Camille, is next time you come back, is you should bring some hand luggage, a big chunk, and we will do in London a South American cheese show, and we'll get one of Hector's contacts London, and we'll do a South American cheese and wine event. That's what we want to do. So tell us about this cheese, Camille.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a cow milk. It comes from a really southern region of Chile, where there is the most important production of milk. And here it's a washed rind, but it really has a long maturation. It has 4 months maturation, so it really has the time to develop its aromas. And it's a kind of taleggio. It's the same process they use. It's a pressed. Oh, sorry, I'm losing my English.
That's all right.
The washed rind, yeah. So here you have quite elastic texture, but on the outside of my piece, I think it's getting more mature, so you can see it's getting more creamier. I don't know if you can see it on the screen. It gets stuck on my.
Let me bring you up. Yeah, show it again.
So here you can see it gets stuck on.
Yeah, man, that's delicious.
Yeah, it's really Russian cheese, and it's really delicious. It's strong in smell. Smells like the stable. It smells like you are with the cows.
Yeah, it's pungent.
Very pungent, yes. So Hector, what have you got for us on this one? Now I'm looking at this map here, and it's over on the right-hand side.
I love it. I just love it.
It's my cheese of the night. It is my cheese of the night. There's no question about it. Now I'm looking at my notes, and I'm seeing that you're bringing in a cheese from near Montevideo.
What? So it goes with
the we have a Tanat from. We have
still there, Hector?
That is the grape that comes from southwest France, from Madeira, and it's a red wine with power, violet color, fresh, with a frame of tannins that will involve the pungency that we have here. Here we have tannins. We have a good alcohol level, good acidity, minerality. So when we find a cheese like that, we can either go the other way, shows a very soft, crispy wine, or find a partner. And here, I think this wine, the Garçon Tanat, which is very little known, the great Tanat in Europe and South America as well. But Garçon is a great company that has put the Tanat on its top. This is the emblematic grape of our friends from Uruguay. And
So it's a Uruguayan
he has done
wine.
it
So
because when
briefly
you taste the
introduce
flavor,
Uruguayan wine,
the
Hector.
structure.
So is in Uruguay, is that a big producer of wine?
No, it's small. And Punta del Este, which is the west end of the part to the Atlantic, they benefit from soils that have they have a very minerality, a lot of rocks that come from the sea. They have minerals, so they produce a wine, a very elegant wine, and they have made Tanat. They are emblematic variety, and they are doing a great job. The wine, the color of the wine is, I mean, it's a teenager, but on the nose, it has black fruits, black.
We're losing you. I think it's amazing that we've done so fantastically well, considering you're both in Santiago. So, Camille, while Hector's been stuck in digital nowhere, what is your combination? You've got this wine and this cheese. Comment about how you think they compete or complement each other.
I think they complement each other. The cheese is really intense, and it's really persistent in the mouth. It has a balanced bitterness with salts. It's really agreeable. You can feel the aromas stay in your mouth and stay the animal aromas, human aroma, how you say before. And the wine is it's quite also has a persistent body. As Hector said, it has wooden notes. So with the cheese, it goes well because it smooths a little bit the animal taste. It's really combined, so the cheese is not too intense, and the wine is still present. I really love the pairing, and the wine is quite acid also, but with the creaminess of the cheese, it also complements, and so the wine doesn't that much with the acidity on the tongue.
That's really interesting what you're saying there, because you're describing two products, the cheese and the wine, that actually on their own are a little bit spiky. They've got some edges which perhaps are challenging, but what they're doing to each other is rubbing those edges off and bringing out the best in each, where allowing the sharpness of the wine and the animal fermentation of the cheese, knocking them back, allowing the creaminess, the best bits to come forward.
Yeah, I think so too. It's exactly what I wanted to say, but you have more vocabulary in English than me.
I'm in my first language. You're probably on about your fourth. So all power that we got as far as we did. Guys, it's been an hour, and that's a complete pleasure talking to you about the riches, the cheese and wine riches of South America. I am so glad that you've been able to make the time and allow us to really sort of get under the skin. There is so much about South America that we don't know, because it is a country or a continent that is not familiar. I think that's partly because there's so much more of a Spanish, Portuguese, French, Italian influence down there rather than an English one. So thank you so much. I don't know if Hector is considering his wine very closely or whether he's frozen, but I'm going to say goodbye to you both. And on behalf of the whole of the Academy Cheese and all our global following, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's really
interesting for us. Charlie.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Camille.
Thank you, Hector. And maybe, if I don't know if it's possible to share with the public the pairing that I sent you, so they can keep the information in their mind, maybe.
Okay. Well, before the whole Atlantic knocks us out forever, I'm going to say goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Ciao, gracias.
Well, that was South America. I just goes to show, never ever underestimate another culture. They've got things to offer. They've got all the imagination and the history and the skill and the provenance to create products uniquely their own. Obviously, a continent that's taken cheese and wine as a recipe from other parts of the world, particularly sort of European, Southern European tradition. But as Hector so well put it, we're talking different climates, we're talking different seas, we're talking different soils. And what's so fascinating, grapes that are no longer present in Europe. So absolutely fantastic. So thank you for watching. It's been a long one tonight. It's been really interesting to catch up with the Explore the World tradition, Explore the World option on Academy of Cheese. Get out there, keep studying, keep putting those pounds on by tasting those cheese calories, and we will see you. Oh, got to say this, taking a week off next week. Charlie Turnbull is doing Deli Shops. We're doing interviews with producers of all stripes, not just cheese, as part of our linking with Speciality and Fine Food Fair, which is very exciting. Follow us on Deli Shops and you'll find out we're doing 38 interviews with producers over 3 days, speed dating in a truly fast food, slow food kind of way. So go and find out what we're doing on that one. But apart from that, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time when we've got, I believe, we've got the shocking Basque country. I hope so. Some of my absolute favorite cheeses. Lots of love. Good night. Tuesday night was cheese night. See you next week. 2 weeks.